What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Unparalleled Universe for another action figure review, and today we'll be looking at the Stranger Things 11 figure from McFarlaneToys. And here's a quick look at her in the packaging. I really like the way this packaging looks. I almost didn't want to open up the figure because I liked it so much, but yeah, you know, I'm not really a mock collector, so I had to open it. But this artwork is awesome, and the whole packaging in general is awesome. It definitely has like that throwback feel to like late 80s, early 90s type of toy packaging. And that's dope because I know that's the whole thing that Stranger Things is going for, and there's a lot of like throwback retro stuff going on right now, and so that's good stuff. But yeah, check out the artwork here. It's like really like reminiscent of like 80s kind of movie posters, and yeah, I really like that stuff. It looks cool, and I know a lot of people are into that, so that's dope. And then on the back of the packaging, you get a look at 11 and Chief Hopper, which are out now, and then you get a look at some of the other characters that they plan on making in the future. And yeah, like I said, I really like this packaging. I do wish that it was collector friendly, but it's not. So once you open it up, you can't put the figure back in without making it look like you've opened it. But it's okay. It's a nice looking packaging and ideal for like mock collectors. Now let's take a look at the articulation, which is pretty limited, but there is a little bit of stuff going on. Her head is able to go side to side, and then you can get it to kind of tilt around, kind of rotate around. You can see the tilt is pretty nice actually. And it can't really go down very much at all. That's about as far as it could go, and it could only go up, you know, straight forward like that. Can't really get it to look up at all. And then for her arms, they're able to come out to the side about that much. And then you're able to get them to move forward, but it's kind of hard. I really don't want to force it because I don't want to break it, so you got to work with it a little bit. But you can get them to go all the way around. And that's about it for the shoulders there. There's no bicep swivel or anything like that. And then she has single jointed elbows, but you can pretty much get it into like a 90-degree angle there, as you could see. And then she has a swivel at the elbow. And that moves about that much. And then at her wrist, she has a swivel. And it's on a ball joint, so you can kind of get it to go in different directions. Kind of get it to make it seem like it's hinging a little bit. And there's no articulation in the torso or in the hips at all. So down here at the knees, we have single jointed knees. They go back about that much, and then her knees have a swivel, as you can see there, and then her feet can go to side, and that's about it. Actually, they can't really rock or move around or anything, so that's about it for the feet. Like I said, it's very limited articulation for these figures, but I knew that going in. I think that you have to kind of just accept that when you pick up any of these McFarlane figures. They're not really focused on articulation, so it is what it is. And she comes with a decent amount of accessories, so let's start off here with the hands. She comes with two different right hands, and the first one is just like an open, like power hand, like, you know, like she's doing her thing. And then the other right hand is just like a gripping hand. It has a peg like right in the center, and the peg is used so that you could throw her like her walkie-talkie on there, or two-way radio, or whatever you want to call it. That's it there, and it fits on there pretty good, so it's pretty cool. And here's a closer look at the radio itself. It's got some nice like sculpting work onto it. Nothing too crazy though. It just looks how it's supposed to, so it's pretty good. And then there's a hole in the back there, and you just stick that onto the peg that's on the hand. And it holds pretty good. It's not going to fall out once it's in there, so that's pretty good. And then on the left side, she has a fist, but just one single fist for the left hand. And then she has like a gripping hand, and the gripping hand is used just to hold on to the waffle that she comes with. You know, she loves her waffles. And here's a look at that. Not really too much going on, just a yellow piece of plastic shaped like a waffle, so that's cool. It works. And then she comes with the wig. She only has one head sculpt, but she has this wig, and that looks really cool. And the wig is able just to pop right on there. And yeah, it sits on there pretty good. It doesn't look too awkward at all, so very happy with that. And then it comes with this nice looking stand. It's a very clean, clear stand. It says Stranger Things right on it. It has a peg. Then you could put her on there like that, and it holds her pretty good. The peg was a little tight, so you got to kind of make sure not to snap it, trying to force her foot in there. For some size comparisons, here she is next to a couple of Marvel Legends Spider-Man figures. That's Pizza Spider-Man, and then the Ultimate Spider-Man from the Venom Space Knight wave. And then here she is next to Figure Arts Raphael and Diamond Select Fozzie. And she is, I believe that she's a 7-inch scale figure. I'm not completely sure, but I'm pretty sure. And here she is next to NECA Caesar and Diamond Select Kingdom Hearts Mickey Mouse. Pretty sure she's not 6-inch scale, because as you could see here, next to Cap Wolf, Captain America, she's pretty tall, or taller than she should be anyways, and she's almost the same height as the Black Series Boba Fett. And as you can see here, alongside the Marvel Select Wolverine figure and Marvel Select Hawkeye figure, that she looks more appropriately sized. She looks like a, you know, small young girl her age, which I think is like about 10 or 11 years old. So, you know, I think that size works. So I definitely think that she works better for 7-inch figures. And then here's a closer look at the sculpt. And the sculpt is really good because that's what McFarlane's focus is, and it seems like it's always been. So the sculpt is really good. As you can see, there's a lot of nice creases on the jacket. And then you can see some nice paint detail in there. And it's not overdone. I did see a couple of 11 figures that the paint was overdone. But you can see on mine, it's very like subtle. So I think it looks good. You can see the stains on the gown here. And they look nice. You can see the skin tone looks good on her legs here. I really don't like the way these knees look. Those joints are just look really bad to me. And then her shoes have some really nice paint details. They look all torn up and worn down how they're supposed to. So that's great. And yeah, it looks good. The sculpt is really nice. And the joints don't look as bad on the jacket part because the creases on the jacket hide the joints really nice. Just on the back there you can kind of see them. They don't look great, but that's not a big deal. But yeah, for the most part the creases hide the joints. And then the head sculpt is really nice too. But I just think that the paint could have been a little bit better. Especially like in the eyes. I wish that they went over the eyes with something to make it kind of look glossy, but it just looks like pasty almost. But other than that, I have no really big complaints with it. The little bit of blood coming out of her nose looks nice, and the subtle like paint details on the cheeks look nice. Again, I saw some where the cheeks and the face look really red. I really like the way mine looks. It doesn't look like overdone or anything like that. I don't know if you're able to see it here on the camera, but in person it looks very good. But yeah, I really wish that they would have added like a gloss or something to her eyes. I think it would have looked a lot nicer. And then, you know, you got the hair, it's just brown pretty much. Nothing really crazy there. And then the sculpt on the wig is really nice too. And the paint's really nice too. It has like a dark wash. It's like yellow or whatever with the dark wash. It looks really nice and, you know, kind of messy how it's supposed to be. It looks kind of dirty, so I think that they captured that pretty good. One thing that's really frustrating about this figure is that it's really hard to get her to stand up by herself. As you can see, if you have the legs straight, there's no way she's going to stand up. You have to bend her knees to get her to stand up. And the ankles don't really help you too much because there isn't much movement. And yeah, that's pretty much the only way you can get her to stand up is just by bending the knees. So then it looks like she's leaning. It kind of looks unnatural. If there was a little bit of movement in the hips, you'd kind of be able to get it to work a little bit better. Because as you could see with her legs straight, they kind of bend forward. So that's a little bit frustrating when you're trying to get her to stand up. With the stand, it's not such a big deal, but yeah, just trying to get her stand up regular, it's a little bit frustrating. So overall, I think that it's a pretty cool figure. It definitely captures the look of the character. It comes with some pretty cool accessories, and it's not very expensive. It was like 20 bucks, and you could, right now they're hitting Targets, so it's not hard to get. But yeah, overall, you know, I'm not really crazy about the McFarlane figure lines that he has going on right now, because they kind of trip me out. There's somewhere in between like a statue and an action figure, but in my opinion, they kind of don't satisfy either demographic, because, you know, for statue guys, you could see the joints and stuff, and they're pretty ugly. As you can see on the knees, that looks kind of horrible. If I was like into statues and things that don't pose, I wouldn't want like ugly joints like that. I wouldn't want any joints at all, actually, much less ugly joints like that. And for action figure people, I mean, you can't really pose them that much. Like the articulation is super limited. It reminds me of like the figures from that NECA used to put out like back in the day, probably like in, you know, 2002, 2003, where like they just have random articulation, and it's pretty much just a statue. It feels like, you know, this articulation setup is like from the 90s or something. It's like not very much at all. So I don't know, it's kind of a trip when it comes to these figures, but for this figure specifically, I am happy to have it because I think this will look cool just hanging out on the shelf with her like hand extended out like she's using her power. But yeah, I think in general this figure is a little bit disappointing. It doesn't really like make me excited to pick up the other figures that are coming out from the McFarlaneToys with you know, from Stranger Things. Especially like Chief Hopper. I was looking for him too in stores, and I did see one of them, but the paint was horrible and the hip joints looked bad, so I just passed on it. I might just pass on it in general. I probably won't pick it up after all. And with 11 here, this is the second one that I bought. The first one that I bought, I took it out of the packaging, you know, turned her head, and the peg just snapped off. Like I didn't even force it or anything. It just kind of snapped. So That was really disappointing, but you know, I was able to pick up another one, and it's cool. Like I said, I'm happy to have her. I'm gonna hold on to it, but I don't know if I'm gonna pick up the other figures as they come out. We'll see how the rest of the boys look, and we'll see how the Demogorgon looks, and if they look cool in person, then maybe I'll grab them. But yeah, I'm not crazy excited about this line anymore, but you know, it's okay. There's a lot of other cool stuff out there to collect, so it's all good. But yeah, that's it. Thank you very much for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Peace.